Hello and welcome to Squidly Bits, our second channel where we post the best tutorials you can find on the internet. And today I'll be showing you exactly how I painted the box art of this lovely orc lady for our paint set. Let's get started. As you might have guessed, all of the paints I'm gonna use today can all be found in our fantasy paint set alongside the essentials paint set. And the colors we'll be using today are the following: Scarlet Blood, Hot Orange, Moon Yellow, Cayman Green, Ivory, Dark Rust, Japanese Uniform, Dark Flesh Tone, and Black. And as you might see on this miniature, I've already painted the skin. However, we made a unique tutorial just showing how to paint that skin, so do make sure to go and watch that video so you know how I painted it. Now moving on to the first step of this process will be to bring out the airbrush and some scarlet red and gently airbrush the glow from the hot lava. Of course you can do this with a paintbrush instead of using an airbrush, but I would highly recommend trying to use an airbrush for this because you will get so much of the work done for you. And on top of that, it's gonna save you about like 4 times of the time, which is so much time saved. Get yourself an airbrush if you don't already have one. And once we're all done with the scarlet blood and the airbrush, it's time to move on to the fabrics of the orc. Bringing out the black paint and the ivory and mixing them together to create this bluish gray tone, covering all of the areas that are angled towards the sky and are not touched by the red airbrushing layer. Then to increase the brightness, you just add a bit more of that ivory and just add it to super small areas closest to the light source, which in this case would be the light coming from above because she's out in the wide open and the sun is shining on her. Once we're done with the fabrics, it's time to paint the log she's standing on. And for this, I bring out the Cayman Green. And in this step, I cover about 70% of the entire log, just making sure to not cover any of the black shining through from the shadows, or covering any of the red we previously painted with the airbrush. And to make it really read as wood or some other broken down texture, you can add some sideward stroke to break up the flow of the log, you can add some small dots and any texture that you like. It's time to tackle the big hair piece. Using dark rust, I try to cover up as much of the hair as humanly possible. Once we've successfully covered everything, we bring out the dark flesh tone and add as a highlight on all of the raised areas. Here you can be a bit more generous. The further up you go on the hair and the further down, maybe add these as small highlights. And the same thing goes here. If you want to increase the brightness, just add some ivory to the mix. Then we can move on to the skull, horns and teeth of the meanie. And in this stage, I really want to keep that greenish hue to sort of complement the fiery oranges that's in the base. So for this, we start off by covering the entire area in dark rust, and then we bring out Japanese Uniform, which is sort of an olivey drab color that will be perfect for this bone color. In this step, we really want to dilute the paint really well. Then we apply the paint using irregular strokes and build up textures in a few layers. This will truly make a really cool bone effect with lots of texture and interesting parts. And just like with the previous steps, we gradually add more and more ivory to the mix to bring out the brightness. Now we're almost finished with the meanie itself. let's tackle the hottest, meanest, fiery OSL you've ever seen. Moving in with hot orange as our first highlight. Here we want the highlights to be the biggest and brightest towards the area that's the closest to the light source. Meaning on this mini, not all of the red areas we sprayed with the airbrush will get the same treatment of the hot orange highlight. And this is quite frankly what will sell this as being light emitted from something fiery standing next to this mini, rather than just really ugly yellow and oranges highlights you've made completely out of nowhere. Now to gradually make this brighter and brighter, we start adding more moon yellow to the hot orange. You could say that about 75 to 25 in the first highlight. Then the closer we get to the light source, we can go a bit more 50-50. Closing in with some 25 to 75. Then once you're at that peak area where you want it to be the brightest, you slap on some pure moon yellow. And now that OSL is all set and done, it should leave you with a miniature that looks something like this. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you want to support this channel or maybe just see these videos a week in advance, make sure to head over to our Patreon where you get to see some behind the scenes footage, these videos a week early ahead of time, and you get to be part of an amazing community filled with our amazing patrons who just make sure that we can actually do this full time for a living. You guys are the best. And if you haven't already, or maybe you actually thought we didn't sell them anymore, but it's actually true. The paint sets are still available, link will be in the description, so you can maybe follow our tutorials, because we make it as easy as possible, because all the paints we use are in them. With that said, have a great day, see you next time, bye bye!